That starting 11, is that good enough to close the gap and get a top 4 finish?
No. I looked at that midfield and it didn't inspire me. Kovacic, Fernandez and Mount, it didn't inspire me. Kovacic, what has he given Chelsea this year? Not a lot. Mount's not given much this year. And you've got a young guy, 22, who's coming for 120 million, who's going to have pressure on him when he steps on the field. Every single eye in the world of football will be expecting for 120 million this guy to hit the ground running.
But to that point, Stevie, you look up front, Mudryk, okay, not had an awful lot to go on, but what we've seen so far, he's looked very good. João Felix.
Not play the game.
I'm just saying, not an awful lot to go on, but what we've seen so far has looked pretty good. I still think that Chelsea's biggest miss is that out-and-out goal scorer. Havertz, good player, but he's not the goal scorer that Chelsea need in terms of certainly challenging the top 2 in the Premier League table. So this team continues to take shape, but I still think it's a way off from really worrying what we know of Manchester City and what we've seen of Arsenal so far this season.
Gab, what are Chelsea fans saying? Obviously, we're talking here with a kind of sensible heads on. They must just be like, good, we need players. At least someone's going out there and spending the money to get them.
Well, I mean, obviously, they'd rather the club showed ambition and spent money than not spent money. Chelsea fans, longer-standing Chelsea fans who remember the Roman Abramovich years are used to spending money. I think right now the concern is more about Graham Potter and where they are on the table. But obviously, when it comes to Enzo Fernandez, this is somebody everybody saw on television. You saw him lifting the World Cup. I think he's going to excite people. Mudryk as well, if you watch the Champions League. Some of these younger guys who came in, whether it's Fofana, even Bayashil, who is like a no-name, but he is a younger player. I think people are going to say, all right, we got to put our trust into this, that they know what they're doing, because, this isn't like the days when, they were signing Crespo and Shevchenko. They've decided to go, not so much Enzo, but with some of the other ones, they decided to go for perhaps players who had an upside, who were younger, and who still cost a lot of money. Because I guarantee you, probably not that many Chelsea fans had Malo Gusto posters up on their walls last summer.
Gab, the question is, and I know we don't really have time to kind of go in depth with this, are they basically giving these long contracts, which means that the money's spread over time, which means they can kind of dodge financial fair play? Is that too simplistic?
It's a little simplistic. I don't think it's necessarily financial fair play dodge, because UEFA are very likely to pass a rule saying that because a lot of countries within UEFA have a limit of 5 years, they can say, well, you can give the guy a 50-year contract if you like, but we're going to calculate the FFP amortization over 5 years. I think Chelsea are prepared for that. Obviously, in a case like this, between the wages and the transfer fee, if they are going to calculate it over 5 years, you're looking at taking a hit of something in the order of, 35 million each year. That is a really a ton of money for the duration of the contract. So how that shakes out, we'll see. But Todd Bowley has enough people advising him. They know what financial fair play is going to look like. They know the new financial sustainability rules, and I would imagine that they wouldn't have done this if they didn't feel that they could go and meet the requirements.
Top 4, Don?
This season, not for me. Not for me. I tell you what it does, Dan. I think it puts an awful lot of pressure on Graham Potter. I think with the signings and the 600 million that's been spent since the summer and close to 300 million in this window, it puts a lot of pressure on their league position. If they don't rise, and even if they missed out on top 4, if they go from 10th to, say, 5th, and they finish the season well, and you could see what the project was going to be like, and you could see the style of player, and you see the work that the players like Enzo Fernandez and Mudryk are going to bring in the next few months, then you can be optimistic, I think, as a Chelsea fan for next season. I don't think they make it this season, though.
OK, we saw Jules texting away. Obviously, there are still deals to be 100%. What are you laughing at, Shaq?
I'm just texting Jules doing the deal.
Jules finalising the deals. Hakim Ziyech to PSG, Jules?
Well, yeah, that one was done. We were told it was done half an hour ago, and that it was all agreed on the loan without an obligation to buy, without an option to buy, full stop, from for PSG from Chelsea. And now I got a few messages about maybe an issue with the paperwork. Although PSG is saying that they filed on time, but maybe and the problem was on the league's end. So the LFP, which is the French league, the issue maybe was on their end, which in that case, I mean, PSG feel that maybe they have a case to say, listen, we sent on time. It was not our fault, so I need to find out a little bit more about what happens. But it was certainly agreed on time, and then they had to file the paperwork, as you do for those kind of transfers, especially international transfer, which PSG were confident would be okay. But now it seems that there might have been a little issue on the league's end.
Aside from the little issue, if he does go, Jules, where does he play?
That's the big question. I mean, as a PSG fan, I said to Gab earlier, my dream is to see this 4-4-2 flat with Ziyech on the right, Neymar on the left, and a front two of Messi and Mbappe. I don't know who would defend in that team. I don't really care, to be fair. I don't know who would be the two poor guys who play as a double pivot. I don't care either. I mean, me and Gab can play, Stevie and Xhaka can play there, Don if he wants to. I don't care. It's not going to happen. I love Hakim Ziyech, I have to say. You're right. I don't know where he fits. I don't know how much game time he would get. It's a better option than what you had before when Sarabia, who's not a very good footballer, was there at the club. At least it's an upgrade. But I don't know. I don't think the problem really was attacking-wise. I think they have other issues to sort out, and they haven't really addressed them in this transfer window, which is my issue. But he's a talented player, for sure, and for a 6-month loan, you don't really take any risk. I hope he can bring a bit of creativity, but again, it's not what they lack. But I don't know, I'm hoping that he can bring something to that team nevertheless.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.